Hi, folks. This is James O'Keefe, captain of the Massachusetts Pirate Party, and I'm joined today by Joe, Malt, and Steve. How are you all today?
Ahoy.
Well, my arms are a little sore, shoveling and whatnot, but I'm good. I'm good.
I'm fine.
So for folks, so we've got an event coming up on the 12th. We'll have our monthly democracy/tech meeting that will be online. That will be from 11 to 1 on February 12th. And I'll put a link to the blog post about that. And there's a sign-up sheet so you can get notified about it and get the link to the video chat. So it's the snow, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's snow. Oh my! What an amazing storm. Who was the jackpot winner for all that snow?
I don't know. Boston tied its 2003 record of 27.3 inches, I believe, at Logan Airport. I'm just thinking there was a couple years ago where we set a record for snow, like 110 inches, right? So I figure like 4 more storms like we had yesterday, we could beat it. He says is ducking from the snowballs being hurled at him in every direction.
Mm-hmm.
I know the southeast Boston got the majority of the snow, like Canton, Situate, and stuff like that. I mean, up here in Lowell, we got like what, a foot and a half.
Mm-hmm.
A good amount.
The South Coast, Situate, and I think Weymouth and some of the other coastal, South Coast towns, one of the things that they were, they kind of got hit with, in addition to snow, was high tide. So this is basically water coming over seawalls and, turning streets into skating rinks and that sort of thing. This is probably, I guess, I didn't live in Massachusetts in 1978, but, the blizzard of 78 is something everybody knows about. And, there wasn't as much, tidal damage this time. Revere Beach got kind of clobbered in 1978, as I recall. Yeah, it's sort of funny, like reading snow stuff on social media. It's like, normal person during blizzard, stay inside, don't go out. Boston people during blizzard, walk around and see if there's a Dunkies open. I mean, it was also great there were a number of things that came up on Twitter that were just, they were literally like, tell me where you're from without telling me where you're from. Like, things are wicked busy at the salt pile in Chelsea. Or we're getting snow. It's about half a large Dunkies at this point.
Speaking of seawall, isn't there a natural gas processing plant somewhere on the coast that
Weymouth?
Yeah. What's up with that?
Yeah, it was a natural gas compressor. I know there were a lot of environmental groups that were really opposed to it, and now people are worried about it flooding and, as sea levels rise and such. So, probably an issue that will have to be dealt with.
Good luck in the future.
Creating it.
Yeah, it's, I live near a natural gas transmission line. So every year, Spectra is it Spectra or Enbridge? I've lost track of who owns it, but they send you a little handbook and, to tell you how, what gas leaks look like and who to call and all this stuff. And, my former neighbor had it, kind of said it best. It's better to be safe than exploded.
Yep.
What is it, Spectre, like the evil guys in 007?
It's possible. I think this might be a different. I think this is I don't know.
Was it Eversource was the one who blew up the town, right?
Yeah, up in Lawrence, up in my area.
It's amazing how we kind of just don't talk about that anymore. Like a
Yeah,
whole damn town.
Hmm.
Like literally shot a tree at a young kid and killed him like instantly. Like the
Hmm.
tree hit a chimney, and that chimney then proceeded to crush said child.
Yeah. No, that was pretty bad. So there's, I mean, they're kind of like, they're not quite the same creature. Like the natural gas main behind my house is 26 inches wide. So I've seen them, the gas company replace sections of pipe periodically, and it's a big frickin' pipe. The Weymouth compressor, I think, is also more, a big transmission kind of thing. What happened in Lawrence, my understanding was a lot of the gas hookups for the house didn't have pressure limiters, and
Yeah.
they had, they were much smaller lines, but there was a burst of pressure, and it ended badly, for unfortunately a lot of people.
So
Oh yeah.
26 inches wide, that's about as much snow as we got.
Yep.
So
I
shout
mean,
out to everyone who is here, who was a kid in 1978 and enjoyed the snow. I know I did.
Hmm.
No
well, they say storms.
weeks. That was great.
Sorry for interrupting, Jamie. Um, they say storms like this create meteorologists, though. So I mean, when you have that storm and it's all this super light, fluffy stuff, it's really easy to be a kid again. And but speaking of things that are very kiddish, I hear there's some interesting news going on with NFTs.
Yeah. So the hottest NFT going around, you've probably seen a screen cap of the tweet, is promising license rights over the use of specific colors in other NFTs. Now you might be asking yourself, how would that be enforced? Good question. It can't. Um, it's just an example of the utter nonsense that is so pervasive within the NFT scene, which largely it's never about art. NFTs are a financial instrument, and if you create them, you are turning yourself and your work into a financial instrument. Um, it doesn't actually create anything; it just promotes rent seeking and promises free money for doing nothing. So, like, okay, you've created another parasite class. Great work. That's definitely what we need. More parasites who contribute nothing and just drive up prices. It's just insane. It's asinine and insane. And it's so pathetic that the height of the imaginations these people can accomplish is rent seeking and second life.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this in the past. As a pirate, we believe that there needs to be a public domain. Things shouldn't be locked in copyright. People should be able to share. People should be able to remix culture and create new things. And NFTs just kind of fly in the face of that. It's like taking every little thing and putting a price on it. I mean, I can understand like Vanta Black, where it's an actual physical, tangible paint, and saying, okay, well, we'll you have to pay for that, because someone took the R&D to do that, and they file a patent on it. I understand we don't believe in patents, but that is the way it is. But a color, I mean, just the possible colors that are there, that's just natural in the world, what we see with our eyes. I mean, I don't understand how you can try and commercialize that.
Yeah, if you can get IP on a color, I'd like white.
We're coming for your eyes.
The reason I want white is white light is a mixture of every color in the visible spectrum. So if I have that, then anyone who uses any color at all is infringing, except if you're using black, because black is just the absence of light.
I will copyright black.
But like, remember, you're not copywriting anything. You're NFT zoologizing it. You're
Hey,
non-fungibating the tokens.
your unicorn is using my colors.
I don't know.
Come at me, bro.
You do a 32-bit integer per primary color, so 4 billion of those, 3 primary colors. So 4 billion cubed, that's how many you got. There's enough room for all of us to get in on it.
It's like, if any of you knew that kid in elementary school who's like, I'm going to copyright the dictionary, and then everyone, that's what it is. It's fucking
Yes,
copywriting the
Disney.
dictionary.
Yes. Aren't there people that actually try and do that BS too?
Yeah, they're called nerds.
Hey.
I mean, nerds has a good connotation, at least in my world.
Well, I mean, it's like right, we're right click culture, right? It's like someone puts an image and they go and say it's an NFT and they sell it to somebody. Man, we can just right click those poorly produced pictures of some animal or whatever and copy them however we want. And literally the people who buy those don't even seem to understand that there's no way they can prevent us from copying it. And if they can't prevent us from copying it, then
I mean, it's because the image itself, like the image itself isn't the NFT. The NFT is the receipt. And like, because the NFT is the receipt, the image itself is utterly immaterial. Like, it is purely speculative. Justin Bieber just spent like $1 million on one. And I guess we still give a shit what Justin Bieber spent his money on.
Justin, you want to give $1 million? Give it to me. I'll take it. I'll do something useful with it. Justin, come here.
Like, Justin, if you give me $1 million, I will listen to your problems so you don't have to make like terrible fucking acoustic, soulful, sad music anymore. Like,
and in other things that crush my soul, things happening in Tennessee.
Oh, so a school board in Tennessee, I believe it was 10-0, voted to ban the book Mouse, the graphic novel Mouse, from their school library. And for those of you who don't know, Mouse is a graphic novel about the Holocaust where mice are Jews and cats are Nazis, if I recall correctly. And it is an important work. And so for a school system to come up with a BS excuse of, oh, there's nudity in it. I'm like, I looked at the picture because my wife has a copy of it. And literally it's like, really? They're just anamorphic mice. I mean, there's nothing in there that is going to, that a child is going to question, except the fact that, mass genocide, which hopefully they'll ask their parents about.
It sucks having to argue against that kind of bullshit because they don't even believe it. So if you argue against it, you're still not persuading them because they don't believe it.
My question is, now how many kids in this Tennessee school district are going to want to get their hands on a copy because the school board banned it?
I would have to say the sad majority of it are still not going to really pay attention or care. There's only going to be a few who really will really push this. And obviously that would come from the community that was most affected by this. But sadly, it's going to just be silencing and putting a blindfold over all of those kids as to what our world history is. It's the same people who ban Animal Farm for the same exact reasoning.
On the note of silencing, someone on Twitter, and I did not write down their name, that's a mistake, brought up a term, pajamification, where basically instead of teaching works of historical, biographical, autobiographical, or very historical fiction, instead of teaching these first and second primary accounts, You teach something like The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, which is a moral parable about two innocent children in, an unfortunate situation that never specifically gets named or like never specifically gets described. So again, you move away from a story that centers the experience of Jews to one that centers the experience of a German boy. It's fucked up. Mouse is really, really good.
Well, it's that, and we shouldn't.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say we shouldn't. We should be preparing our kids for the way the world is, not hiding truths from them. Not, I mean, you can't really protect a kid, but you can arm them to be able to deal and make the right decisions, and at least teach them the mistakes of the past. That we as a human species, as terrible of the things that have happened, to teach them and be like, this is why we don't do this, you know? Because it's bad. Here's why. And I think that story really teaches, or at least introduces the topic of one of the darker chapters of our history. But if we forget what has happened, then we won't see the signs for when it's happening again. So
Yeah. A broader point I want to bring up is the history of censorship in the United States is long. I mean, banned in Boston. Has anyone heard that term in a while? Even just looking at, Ireland, a podcast I've been listening to has talked about how the Catholic Church was able to ban, many works, but strangely, they always focused on Pulp Fiction because, and I don't mean the movie, I mean the type of, trashy novels or light fare novels and things like that. But, here we have a government that is flying in the face of the First Amendment, is using its governmental power to ban a book. Thankfully, even the Herald said, now more people are buying Mouse, so Streisand effect wins in some cases. And there is a bookseller, I think, who's raising money to buy Mouse for kids. So if they want a copy, they can get a copy. But this is not the first time, and sadly, it won't be the last time. But it's really up to us to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
all real good points. So that being said, we did have just one more topic, and this one's actually not happening even in our country right now, but I think it's really relevant to what's going on in the greater world, and that's with this truck convoy that happened up in Canada. Um, would one of you gentlemen want to go over the details?
So a bunch of truckers are mad that they have to be fully vaccinated in order to pass between countries. And to protest this, they showed up in the middle of a city where the government was no longer meeting. And they pissed everywhere. They assaulted journalists. They stole food from the homeless. They wrecked shit up, and the police didn't do shit because they were probably at the friggin' protest.
Yeah, this happened up in Canada, and
Is it
what
provincial
I
boundaries, or is it not, or U.S.-Canada boundary?
I think it's U.S.-Canada boundaries. No, it is U.S.-Canada boundaries, and I think it's also now provincial boundaries.
Okay.
I mean, as a stance, I've always been in support of the vaccine. The science is there. Just get your freaking vaccine. But, I mean, I'm not one to impose upon somebody else freedom to do something dumb.
It's been
You know?
3 years. It has been 3 years of this shit.
No, not
These
quite.
idiots can get the fuck over it. I am out of patience. Mandates work. There are thousands of people who are getting their first shot every day. Yeah, it's blah, 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 First Amendment, personal freedom. Suck it the fuck up.
Yeah,
I don't know what else to tell you. We're in the middle of an emergency. Suck it the fuck up.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I mean, I get around mostly by bicycle, so I am constantly dodging moving 4,000-pound machines, and just trying to get from like to work and from work, or to the grocery store, or from the grocery store, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, I treat it as a calculated risk. I can't control what goes on, but I can, I can basically try to take care of myself, sort of thing. The other thing I've learned about cycling is you never get between anyone and their Darwin Award. So, yeah, the vaccines work. We've known this since the days of George Washington, and one of the like things that he had to go through was getting troops vaccinated, for smallpox over their objections. But yeah, it's just like, yeah, I can't control what other people do. Other people, fine, you don't want to get vaccinated. Like I said, never get between anyone and their Darwin Award.
I mean, didn't a police officer who was so adamant about not getting a vaccine just die from it? From the
Yes.
gang?
Yeah, I mean,
Who was it?
it's sort of like at this point I kind of consider it like smoking.
Robert Lee May.
What?
The name of the state trooper Joe was talking about, Robert Lee May, he was a state trooper with Washington State, who had his partner record a video of him signing off for the last time, where he told the governor to kiss my ass, and he died of COVID, and he left behind a wife and 4 kids.
Hmm.
And indeed, more police officers have died from COVID than have been shot on the job or had an car accident or something like that. Look, the vaccines work. I mean, Ars Technica, I'll put this in the description and everything, reported the SIBO responses explain up to 76% of COVID vaccine side effects. And that's where, when they're doing the testing and people take a placebo and then people get vaccinated, and they compare the people who said they had side effects from the placebo, which is a sugar pill, compared to, or probably it's a shot, so it's probably not a sugar pill, but the point is it's not going to affect them, versus taking the vaccine and just, people get shots and they think the worst is going to happen potentially, or there's going to be problems, and psychologically they make those, they feel those things, but really, most of that response in the vaccination case is just this nocebo effect. And masks work, they protect people. I can't believe we're not requiring people when they go into buildings to always wear masks throughout this country. It works in Taiwan, it works in Singapore, it works in so many other countries. Why aren't we doing it here? We know how to beat this pandemic, but not everyone seems to be on board and recognizes that your freedom stops at someone else's nose. If you're breathing a virus that they take in and could make them sick, you don't have a right to make someone else sick.
I honestly think that's what it is. I think the own the libs society has advanced to the point where people now feel entitled to acts of aggression against people they socially disagree with. And I think that entitlement to violence is held primarily by right-wing and reactionary groups.
Well, here's a question. If we all just masked up and gloved up and just followed basic health protocols across the board, we'd probably get rid of a lot of diseases. But my real question is, if you spit on someone, that's a biological attack. At what point do you think that this is all going to end up becoming a biological attack?
it's the state will never allow a legal framework that would hold employers responsible for sickening their employees. So, like, that's going to be a pretty hard limit on the scale of legal aggression. And I just don't think the state is going to respond anymore. I think all of our elected representatives are abject cowards who aren't acting because they're afraid of criticism that they're going to get no matter what they fucking do.
So do the right thing. If you're going to get criticized, get criticized for doing the right thing.
They can't do the right thing because, like, progressives always get outvoted by idiots.
So progressives are in the majority, at least.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when it really comes down, even Charlie Baker is like is like, oh, well, there's a huge outbreak. And Charlie Baker was just like, hey, yeah, we're just still going to send the kids to school. It's like he doesn't even care at this point.
How is he still rated so highly?
I don't know.
Massachusetts. I don't know, guys. Like, first the Plymouth Rock situation, now this. When's it going to end?
Yeah, there was another case of A, genocide, and B, by virus, right?
Yeah.
Smallpox. Oh, man.
Well,
You
that being said, definitely like, share, and subscribe. Give us those great comments, and definitely sign up for the newsletter. Check out our wiki, and above all, annoy your politicians.
Mm-hmm.
Run as a pirate.
Which, again, annoy your politicians.